Hi, good morning, everybody, and welcome to my session on LinkedIn. Very sort of valuable, I suppose, 30 minutes to kind of help, depending on your journey with LinkedIn. Sorry, there's a load of people just joined. For those of you that have just joined the call, I am recording it, so feel free to turn off your cameras and turn them back on again for the Q&A at the end. So my name is Rachel Hatfield. I'm the co-founder and director here at SHU. We're a social media consultancy and training agency. So we help people who are in running teams, marketing teams or sales teams, but also people who are kind of looking to kind of take that step up in their career. But we'll go into a bit more detail about that in a moment. So a little bit about me, and just to set the scene, my background is a 15-year career in the corporate events industry, working overseas. And also here in the UK, very fortunate to have had worked at the lovely Edinburgh Castle up in Scotland, for those of you that are not in the UK, and organised some very amazing events, obviously pre-2008, I hate to say that. I also guest lecture at Leeds Beckett University, and I'm a current MBA student at the University of Bradford as well. So recently I did some training at the Junior Law Society here in Leeds, and this was one of some of the feedback that I've been given from Anna, who's an employment lawyer over at Black Solicitors, which is a law firm based in Leeds. They really enjoyed their session. It was great training a bunch of lawyers on how to kind of do all their things in terms of obviously network, which is their key priority for them. So just kind of pushing through that. We worked here at SHU, we sort of work through a sort of framework, just kind of, and that just kind of shows you kind of what we do. So from start to sort of finish, I'm not going to go too much into detail on that, but it just kind of gives you a kind of a roadmap in terms of how we work to kind of help people on their LinkedIn journey and help them get the most out of it, depending on what you're looking for. So that's so to the nitty gritty, what's the important part, why LinkedIn is important and what you can achieve on there. So LinkedIn is a huge platform now for anyone professionally. It all depends on kind of what your ultimate goal is with LinkedIn. It could be a personal challenge in terms of you're wanting to take the step up in your career and you're looking to smash that glass ceiling. It could be just as simple as I want to reach new clients and demonstrate your expertise and attract new prospects. You may want to build relationships up with people. So again, it's down to networking, building that network, and maybe it's business expansion if you're a business owner. I've got quite a few different people on the call, so I'm trying to kind of open it up a little bit. So we also maybe want to get advice on there. It is also used as a search engine. I just wanted to check something earlier on the 6 degrees of separation and how that's changed and evolved over the years. So I did a bit of a search on Google, and so quite a few LinkedIn articles popped up on there. Other things that you may think about: increasing your credibility, so establishing yourself as a leader. So it doesn't necessarily mean leadership in a team, but a leader in your subject area and demonstrating that expertise. And you don't necessarily need to be an academic to demonstrate that leadership. It just may be something that you're extremely passionate about and that you want to talk about. LinkedIn is also great for organic reach and meeting those different people and establishing that sort of leadership in and dominance in your particular area of expertise. So this is just a bit of a map. This is taken from LinkedIn, but it just shows you the amount of potential people that you can reach out to across the globe. So it may be, I'm not sure which country you're actually based in, but there is obviously a high potential in the US and in the UK in terms of people wanting to, sorry, I've just got some more people joining the call. So just looking at sort of the amount of people that you can actually engage in with business, if you're looking to kind of look to kind of that global reach. A lot of people are looking to the US and beyond the UK to actually do speak to new prospects. So just gives you that kind of the numbers, and these have definitely changed, because I had a similar presentation back in 2017 at a conference, and these numbers were a lot lower because I found my old slides when I was preparing this slide deck, and it was incredible to see how much the platform's actually grown over the years. So for those of you that like sort of the numbers, this is a great starting point. I know there's a few people who do like the numbers on the call. A few of you are connected with me on LinkedIn, and obviously 25 million profiles are viewed every day. That's quite a lot of people in terms of like sort of getting that reach out there, which is really important. And also just little tips really on there in terms of like what happens if you've got your photo on show. It gets 11 people more likely to look at who you are. Conversations starting, we'll look at all of that in the 2 seconds as we start to dive a little bit deeper. And obviously the good old mobile, we all walk around with a smartphone in our pockets or handbags these days, so we are more likely to check LinkedIn when we're out and about rather than sitting and viewing it on desktop. And as we all know, there are a lot of recruiters on LinkedIn looking to kind of headhunt people and put people into new positions, depending on, again, on what your goal is. So a little bit of thinking for you, but you may want to write kind of down, where are you in your LinkedIn journey? And perhaps we could have, we can certainly discuss in the Q&A in the after we've kind of gone through the deck. But where are you in that particular journey at the moment? Some people, I recently delivered a training session to a group of accountants to try and encourage them to kind of get involved in LinkedIn a lot more. And here we have a bit of a triangle in terms of that journey. Where are you at the moment? Are you absent? So you've got a profile, but you're not really using it. You may be in a multinational corporation, and you don't have that opportunity to kind of sit on LinkedIn and actually use that information. Alternatively, you may be on LinkedIn quite a bit. You are working in a larger company. You may be kind of thinking, actually, I want to have a bit of a look to see what my perhaps colleagues in the past are up to, because a lot of the time people do kind of have that journey in terms of like, let's have a look. I'm not sure what to do with LinkedIn. So it's like having that look, kind of, I'll just check what people so-and-so's up to. And then you may be a bit of an influencer in terms of you're quite happy to network on there. So you may engage with people's content and also make comment, but you're not necessarily sharing your own. So you're quite happy to walk into a conference, or you may be at an awards dinner and you meet a really good contact and then you decide to connect with them, but you're not there as kind of outreaching in terms of putting that message out there about who you are and what you're doing. And then you may be at the top, you may be a LinkedIn pro, I don't know. I'm not sure what level everybody's at, but you could be on the new terminology of that, be an influencer, as the kind of everybody keeps calling themselves these days, depending on sort of you could be creating content. Is it impactful content? Is it interesting for people? And as you can see on the slide there, it's having that purpose and creating that path for people who want to be in leadership. And again, I was saying, reiterate what I said earlier, it's not necessarily about managing a group of people, it's being a leader and demonstrating that expertise within your area. So it's not just about kind of managing teams. So we can have a discussion about that if anyone's not sure where they are on this like triangle. But I know a lot of people kind of feel like they're a bit of a lurker. They're not really sure kind of what they should be putting out there on their LinkedIn newsfeed. But also, if you are in a multinational corporation, some of them do have very strict social media guidelines. So if you are putting stuff out there, please just double check with either your marketing team or your line manager if you are sharing content out there, because some marketing teams and some organizations do have a strict social media policy. So please do look at that before you start sharing stuff, just to make sure that that organization you are working for is comfortable with what you're putting out there on LinkedIn. So just to double check that. So we talk a lot about personal branding. This is something I've recently been through over the last sort of 3 years of my career. I actually did a lot of work on me. So I can share that journey in terms of kind of what can be achieved, but putting that learning that I've done over the last 3 years actually onto and using it within LinkedIn. So for that particular journey, if you are looking to develop your personal brand, it's about creating that awareness about you and who you are. One of my goals was to do a lot more public speaking. I have a fear of public speaking from being an undergraduate all those years ago at university and having to stand up and do slides. So I decided that actually to get to part of my continuing personal development, I would then kind of go on and do more public speaking. So for me, it was about creating that awareness and improving my reputation. I wanted to become a thought leader in the areas that I'm passionate about. And for me, my areas of passion are kind of obviously working in marketing, events management, also passionate about female leaders, smashing that glass ceiling as well. I've also used LinkedIn to kind of generate leads. Even when I was working in the business development team, sort of in my early career, this was an opportunity for me to kind of generate leads, build up relationships. And I still have those relationships 20 years on as well, from my very early career in my early 20s to up to owning sort of Shoe now. And it's been great because I've kept that network alive. And there's ways around it, which I'll kind of talk to you about sort of further on. This is just a bit of an introduction. For me, and a lot of people who I speak to, it is a bit of a social CRM. You can meet people when you're at a conference, or whether you're at a networking event or an awards dinner, keeping in touch with people. And there is a bit of a shortcut to kind of connect with them, so you don't have to faff around with business cards anymore, which is the way we're going. It's more sustainable as well, so that's really important. And then also, it's a place to listen and gain insights from people. So if you are that lurker, it's interesting to kind of read what people are actually talking about, and joining in that conversation. If you do have an opinion, obviously make sure it is a polite way of putting it. I do read some comments, and I do kind of sit there and think, really? And it's learning from colleagues from outside your organization as well. So don't think of them as a competitor to you just because they're in a similar role. Actually, it's about sharing that insight, sharing that knowledge with your peers, that knowledge transfer. That's also really important. And it's about working together and collaborating, because different companies do different things. So this is what I researched earlier this morning, because I just wanted to kind of fill my knowledge gap. And back in the day when LinkedIn came about, back in 2003, there was 6 degrees of separation, and now we're down to 3. So my journey started, I'm an early adopter, if anyone's read my bio, of LinkedIn. And actually, I was sent an invitation by a colleague. I'd gone back to university to do a MSc, so I was sat there. And I got this, and I was like, oh, what's this? This seems a bit odd. And I thought, oh, I'll join it and see. Then I kind of joined up, and I thought this would have been great when I was doing that year of telemarketing, sitting and cold calling people. And my director of sales is like, when they used to, back in the day, they used to dial in and shout across the room and tell you to ask certain questions and totally distract you in terms of your flow. And I was working for an IT company at the time. So now came sort of, I suppose, 2006. I was in my in mid-flow of my career. I was up in Edinburgh. I was working in the hotel and events sector, and the director of sales and marketing at the time said, why have you sent me this invitation, Rachel? It's a complete waste of time. It's only going to remain in the USA, and it's just going to be stateside. It's never going to come to the UK. So 2008 hit, and we had the global financial crisis. And the first thing a different sales director at the time said to me, she said, get on the, speak to all your connections, and chat to them and make sure they're okay and make sure they've not been made redundant. And this has all come about 2008. I then sent out LinkedIn connections. I rang everybody, but obviously people weren't necessarily at their desks, but I had emails for them. So I decided to send them out a LinkedIn request and actually get them to join my network, which I did. I'm still in touch with quite a lot of people now. And this has obviously helped sort of bridge my career. But I think this is really important because now we're kind of in more of a digital age. People are using this for different connections and different goals and different KPIs, depending on what you want out of LinkedIn. It may be that you're using LinkedIn for a CV, or it might actually be that you're using it to kind of lead generation, depending on what type of role you're actually doing. So as you can see, we've gone from 6 degrees of separation to 3. The power of digital and social media has brought the world a lot closer together. These areas, so you can see that's you, and then you've got your 3rd degree connections there. So it's about bridging the gap between you, if you are working in sales, and that potential client. Creating those connections with people if you're looking just to network and position yourself, or try and get headhunted for a new job. And then the other purpose is obviously it's about bringing people together and creating that network to kind of sort of help maybe public speaking, conferences, events, depending on what your focus is, or just to help support the company. The accountancy practice that I was working with last week, for them, it was about kind of demonstrating their expertise, but not just the person who was the MD of the business, but actually also the team that worked. So they're all working together and they're all sharing content from that particular business as well to highlight who they are. They're not bothered about sales. For them, it was about sharing educational content to inform kind of who their target audience and to demonstrate that they all have areas of expertise within that particular accountancy practice. So just to kind of summarize that particular section, it's all about kind of highlighting your profile and having those strategies to boost performance. So these are kind of, just to sum up that section, is leadership, elevating your expertise and demonstrating to clients and prospects that you know what you're talking about, building those relationships up with people. We all love buying stuff, but we hate being sold at. So boost that trust with your network, build that confidence with them, and build your professional credibility. Be an influencer, so or a thought leader, and have that kind of demonstrate your areas of expertise and demonstrate that mastery. Don't worry too much. I am flying through the slides today because it is only a short webinar, but you've got that opportunity to kind of, we will be sending these slides out to you for and the video as well, so you can go back and have a look. So why does your profile matter? It's to showcase your professional story. What are you interested in? Having a nice picture of yourself on there, make sure it's a professional headshot, or if you don't have the luxury of kind of getting a photographer in, you know, we've got great phones now. They can get a plain nice background, so it's really, really clear. That's really important, so people know who you are. They can see your face. When you're scrolling through on an app, it's very hard to see that particular person. So, you know, have that. Don't what some people do is just use their wedding photo. Perhaps some people haven't changed it out for the last 10 years, so it's kind of when they were in their early career and they were still a student. So feel free to kind of like go in there and swap that photo out. We've just changed our banners. So as you can see here, the banners are just up at the top. I've got all that white space. Now we filled that white space. So if anyone does connect with me on LinkedIn, you'll notice that our actual banners have completely changed, just because we realized that actually, hang on a minute, we've got this white space and we're not utilizing that opportunity. have this headline here. I always change it because I'm never really happy with it. But I think if you have like a nice thoughtful headline in terms of what you're interested in and who you're wanting to work with, that will also help. Remember, it's about building your tribe. So it's not having thousands of connections or thousands of followers. It's about building that tribe around you of people who are similar to you and you want to work with. There's a lot of people, and I get hundreds of connection requests all the time, and they automatically just send me a message and they try and sell at me, and I just think, oh, and I just suddenly delete. There is also a lot of bot activity on there, or AI automation. So I always, when someone sends me a connection request, I always go in there and just double check that they're human. So you can, if you're using the desktop version, you can actually go in and just make a little note and reply back to them. And I always just put like a 2-liner saying, thank you very much for connecting with me. What were the reasons for connecting? Just to make sure that person's actually human. And do I want to connect with them? As soon as they start selling at me, I kind of switch off because I don't want to be sold at. And I found that really frustrating. So one thing that you do, and if you when you leave this webinar, please don't sell at anybody. I find it very annoying. And I'm sure other people don't want to be sold at as well. It's about building that relationship with people. And it seems to be, I think because of the current economic climate, we're getting a lot more sales messages out there with pressure on sales teams to deliver revenue growth. Share your personal story, get that information out there. This is your canvas, it's your LinkedIn profile, it's not the business one. Make sure you kind of share your story and why you're on there. People like to learn about people, and we love, and that's building that. One person always talks to me about is that know, like, and trust. So build that story, let people connect with you, let's share that content. And one thing I've tasked myself with is to film a weekly video. It's only 1 minute because we only have like a very short attention span these days. But it's very much about that's it, done, impact. And share your work history as well. A lot of people like to know kind of what your journey's been like throughout your career in terms of, and looking, because people are looking for those skills and the people that they want from you to work with, if that makes sense. Connections matter. So don't just kind of hit the connect button if you're not wanting to connect with that person. If it's just a matter of a pray and spray approach doesn't really work. It's all about kind of building up a bit of a community of people that you are familiar with, and that the business contacts that are going to sort of help you along your journey in terms of your career, or whether it's kind of you're looking kind of to kind of develop your sales connections and prospects. So build that community around you. Don't just sit and hit the connection buttons, because people will be kind of like, well, why do you want to connect with me? What is the purpose of you, everything? And it's a bit like the old days of cold calling and telesales. It's a very similar framework. Nothing's changed. It's just moved online. The academic theory behind it all is exactly the same. It's about building that sort of, what is the purpose of your connection? It was always back in the day, what is the purpose of your call? So having that purpose behind you, go with a bit of a mission. If you are kind of doing cold outreach, have a bit of a think about what target audience you're looking for, whether you're looking to kind of connect with people in terms of an industry sector and build that, or is it generally you're wanting to kind of reach out to people because you're attending a conference, you're wanting to connect with a speaker that's speaking, and you really want to reach out to them and maybe grab a coffee with them. So build that community around you. And also, if you're kind of thinking in your you're kind of one of those people that's a bit absent from LinkedIn and your following isn't big, why don't you try reach out to anybody that is in your fellow alumni or alumnus, go back to kind of university days. You don't know where all these people are right now in terms of their careers. So it's really important to kind of, reach out and connect with them, and maybe past colleagues as well, because you never know. So make your profile work harder for you. I think that's probably a key thing. We all are very short on time, so we don't have time to just be sat all day on LinkedIn just looking for people. So let some of the algorithm or machine learning do the hard work for you. So get your profile up to date, validate your expertise. Feel free to write articles or share content on there, and making sure that you're filling in your actual profile. Wherever you see a pencil, feel free to like edit in there, go in and edit your sort of profile. It is a bit like an online CV, really, so you can use it for if anyone is looking to move on in their career. A lot of the jobs are now being advertised on LinkedIn, and it actually does have a straightforward apply button onto a lot of the roles, so you can just submit your LinkedIn profile. It turns it into a CV that goes directly to that recruiter, whether it's in-house or external recruitment company. Share valuable media resources, so you can actually put on presentations or decks about your business, any images or particular websites on there, so make it easy for people when they're scrolling through or having a bit of a look at your profile, and also gather recommendations as well. So get people to kind of recommend you, particularly if you're delivering training sessions or you've done a really good project with another colleague within your team, get them to recommend you as well. All these things all help. Recruiters, HR managers are always looking at people's social media profiles, so get that on there. There's nothing wrong with making that profile work harder for you if you're in that sort of process of kind of whether you're looking for a new job to kind of move organizations, or if you're actually thinking about, well, actually, I want to break that glass ceiling, so I want to take my career to the next level. I think we mentioned this earlier, but it is about finding and connecting with the right people, establishing yourself as a business leader or thought leader. So making sure that you've got some keywords in there that kind of is relevant to your industry sector, where you work in. What is your ideal connection? Who do you want to work with? Where are you wanting to go? So set that goal when you're working on your LinkedIn. That's really important. And personalization is key. So make sure that you are if you're reaching out to people and you are doing cold prospecting, make sure that you personalize those LinkedIn connections. It's great that you can hit the connect button, but send them a message to say why you're wanting to connect and what the reason is. And then you can, so something I'm currently doing at the moment is I've gone back to the very start of my LinkedIn journey and messaged my very first connections and working my way through just to check in with everybody to make sure that they're okay. The last few years have been really challenging for people, and I think it's really important that we check in, whether it's mental health, business, or whatever that looks like. It's just making sure that people are okay. So I've been messaging people. Try not to sell at them is the key thing. Build up that connection and then book in that virtual one-to-one, especially if they're no longer in the local area. And you can, on a free account with LinkedIn, there is quite a lot you can do. So you can do 100 connection requests per week, if that is your goal. With a paid account, you can go up to 250 connections per week. So it just depends in terms of how you are utilizing sort of LinkedIn. And again, the algorithm changes daily. We know developers love to develop new and exciting things, and developers are constantly working behind the scenes to work with algorithms. So we can never, ever keep up. 1 minute it's about kind of engagement, the next minute is about paying to unlock stuff. So it is down to you personally in terms of what you want to achieve on there, whether you use the paid version of LinkedIn or you use the free version. That is down to you. Leveraging LinkedIn's success on groups. So some of you may or may not know, but LinkedIn does have groups on there. So feel free to jump on and have a look at the groups that may be of interest to you. Try and join groups that are kind of relevant to you and your career, and that's probably the key thing, because you can share kind of industry knowledge, have conversations with people. LinkedIn has kind of suppressed the notifications on groups, so you generally don't see when people post in there, but there is still people that can actively go in and have a look and speak to people. I think the day of LinkedIn groups was very big, sort of back in 2012, when people were kind of making a lot of money out of it, growing big networking groups on there. But they seem to have quietened down a little bit, and you don't see them as much, but they are good in terms of connecting with other people, and also networking with people that are maybe in the similar industry to yourself. So One good thing is about nurturing your network. So for those of you that are kind of, if you remember the triangle that was at the beginning in terms of the slide, depending on where you are in your LinkedIn journey, then it's about nurturing that network, whether you've got 200 people or whether you've got thousands of connections. It is about kind of reaching out, adding comments and sharing those updates, and it can be anything in terms of whatever you feel comfortable with, whether in terms of what you can share on your LinkedIn profile. Obviously, a lot of times, sometimes LinkedIn can be a bit of a funny place because people are kind of, I hear people moaning saying it's turning into Facebook because people are sharing things that aren't like professionally. They're sharing dinners on there or something that they're just not interested in. Maybe that person isn't the right person for you to be connected with, so don't feel like you have to follow them. You can unconnect with them, unfollow them, whatever that looks like. It's your personal news feed, so design it in terms of what you need. But also, you're connecting with people, whether you're a small business owner or whether you're looking to build relationships up with other colleagues in a multinational business. You could spend a little bit of time every morning. If you're checking your emails anyway, you could do a little bit of a 5-minute sort of, let's go in, let's just make comment on people's achievements, or whether they're doing something really good or whether they're public speaking. Keep active, go in, have a little comment on an article, like or share any of their stuff, a bit like kind of your personal social media really, and post any updates from your personal and company profile as well. So if you are a business and you're managing a company profile within LinkedIn, then this is also an area where you could kind of sort of draw people to kind of look at your LinkedIn company profile and who you work for. And promote any accomplishments, both big and small. So if you've just finished a course, whether it's a small kind of management kind of leadership course that you're doing, whether it's something to do with coaching, or whether it's a big journey in terms of like whether you're finishing an MBA, share that information on there. People like to know kind of what you're up to and follow you with that journey. There are some, so a few tips really. There are some kind of effective posting strategies that can work for you. Again, algorithms determine kind of what it does show, so it depends on kind of what's interesting. Obviously, we know video is the preferred kind of type style of content, but actually video can be quite daunting for a lot of people, and they don't want to put things out there, and that's absolutely fine. So kind of think of other ways in terms of how you can share content with your network. I generally post like once or twice weekly and try and do a video, but the video for me was like a really big, like, oh my God, I've got to do a video, seriously. But that was part of my personal branding, to get myself out there and feel more comfortable with doing videos. There are optimal posting times in terms of when people are on there. So think about your daily life. You're taking the kids to school at 9 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock. So people aren't necessarily going to be in LinkedIn then, but generally you might wake up before the kids at like sort of 5, 6 in the morning, check your sort of LinkedIn, check your emails. So a lot of people are doing the same as you, so don't think that they're not. If something is exciting going on in your organization, feel free to sort of reshare and tag and engage people in a particular event or an article. If a colleague's written a piece of work or a white paper, tag them in, share it, and get that to sort of a further audience. And then engage in conversations as well. So whether it's kind of privately messaging people or kind of messaging them, putting comments on kind of posts that they're doing, feel free to kind of sort of comment in these areas to engage like the audience and talk to them. So a bit of a framework. We're all, if you work in sales and marketing, there is a bit of a framework in terms of, we all know what the sales funnel is. So the top of the funnel, the educate part, educational content is the key. We don't want to be sold at. and it's about increasing that reach of brand awareness. So if you're, for example, the accountancy practice last week, for them, it wasn't about kind of lead generation for them, because they have enough clients. They're quite happy in terms of the amount of business that they have coming in. But for them, it was about demonstrating expertise. And as you can see at the top of the funnel, it is all about educating and driving traffic to your website or your business or to your LinkedIn profile. Then you've got the bit where it's that sort of desire and action. If you are looking and you are using it as a prospecting tool, then this is the area kind of you want to build that trust, because people buy from people they know, like, and trust. And then the lead generation, if you are using it for prospecting, is probably the bit where you kind of want to funnel them down and get sort of more people. As my old sales boss used to say, let's get them hot. These are hot prospects. So I will be sharing this framework. This framework's sort of available. You can just research sort of Dave Chaffee does a lot in terms of the in the marketing world. So I follow a lot of his strategies, and he's taught in a lot of academic institutions as well. So you can feel free to kind of follow his work, which is quite interesting in itself. So let's replace the business card. A lot of people since COVID don't have business cards anymore. We've gone very, very digital. So if you have your phones on you at the moment, if you're using LinkedIn through your app, there is like a little, on the right hand side, there is a little square in the search bar up here. Feel free to press that, and what happens is it will bring up this LinkedIn QR code here. So your code is sat there, which you can share obviously with people. You can obviously save it to your phone as well. But if you are at a conference or an event, you can actually just go in and click that button there onto the right hand side in the right hand image, and it goes on to click on scan. And that's just in this section here. So you're not having to carry business cards around, and you can just automatically connect with people, and then perhaps do a nice little follow-up message once you get back to your office or back home, depending on where you are. And you can just send them a little message to say, hey, it was great to meet you, let's keep in touch. Or if you wanted to connect with a speaker, you may want to use that QR code as well. Or alternatively, if you are public speaking, you are on stage at a conference, having a QR code up there so people can just automatically connect with you if you're happy to have people connecting with you when you're out about public speaking. So in summary, just to kind of go through all of what we've spoken about, it's a very whirlwind talk, because normally I spend about 2 or 3 hours in a training workshop going through everything with everybody. Build that profile, make sure you've got a nice photo there, sort of a catchy keywords, and add that professional contact information onto your profile as well. Set out a bit of time to do some engagement. So set out that weekly, daily plan. I normally spend a bit of time, about 5 minutes, just kind of, or 5 minutes to kind of go in and sort of engage and have a look around. But then I also dedicate a good kind of sort of 2 hours just to kind of go through all my LinkedIn messages, reply to people personally, find out what they've been up to. And then I spend a little bit of time creating a little bit of content to kind of put out onto my newsfeed, because I've got to that stage at the top of the triangle, which was earlier on, that I'm quite happy to kind of do a video and put myself out there a bit more. It always adds value. It helps inject a little bit of personality into your feed as well. And I think it kind of promotes you, especially, and it all depends on your goal with LinkedIn. So you have to kind of find a spot that you're comfortable with, because for everybody it is different. So it's something for you to think about in your start of your LinkedIn journey. And then network. That's what the platform's there for. So network. Don't be afraid to message people if someone's connecting with you and you hit the accept button. Ask them why. start that conversation, have that one-to-one coffee with them. We don't necessarily need to be driving in a car all the way down to kind of London to have a conversation with someone. Now we have an opportunity. We're all on this webinar today, so feel free to kind of like network, connect with people, chat to people, and have the right conversations, just because they may not be necessarily a person that you do business with, but actually could they link you to somebody else that you are wanting to talk to. So build those like really good relationships up. That is the key there. And then finally, we've got some things that we will be sending out for you. So we have a cheat sheet to kind of help you get started. There is a link there if you kind of want to sort of jump ahead and get going whilst you're feeling motivated. But these are all areas that can kind of give you a bit of an action list to get going if you're sort of starting out in your journey. It gives you a bit of inspiration in terms of, right, what do I want to do? What is my goal? Do I want to do more public speaking, or is it I just want to make that next step in my career and smash that glass ceiling? Or are you looking to be headhunted by an organization? Kind of at that point in your career, should I really be filling out application forms anymore? And if it is, you have a team of salespeople and they are kind of stuck. You know, I know some MDs out there are still doing like telesales and cold calling, but actually a lot of people don't have a desk anymore and they're working around with a mobile phone. And, you know, I do speak to some people and I just want boots on the ground and people to go out and see people in the traditional sales method, and that doesn't actually work anymore. We've kind of moved on into this digital era. Like the generations that are coming through, the future leaders don't work like that. And then is it about inspiring that sales team? You know, do they need a little bit of help? Do they need that step up? You know, you might have a team of 50, 60 salespeople out there that kind of a bit stuck. They're kind of feeling uninspired, a bit demotivated. Do they need to kind of get on LinkedIn a bit more and use it more effectively rather than just sending out sales message? And then lastly, is it about building that industry expertise? Do you want to be out there a bit more? You know, is it like new business? Are you wanting to start a company? What is it? Are you wanting to be that consultant? What is it that you want out of LinkedIn? So this cheat sheet will definitely help you in terms of that journey. And then if anyone wants to have a sort of a further one-to-one conversation with me about kind of today, and kind of obviously there's quite a few of us on the call, and asking questions can be a little bit daunting to some people, I'm open to a one-to-one consultation. There's no kind of sales pitch or anything. It's just about kind of helping you kind of think about kind of your LinkedIn profile, creating some strategies, maybe looking at the cheat sheet, helping you kind of and coach you with that kind of plan that you're wanting to do. So feel free to kind of book that call in with me. So I will stop the recording. If anyone has any questions at all about kind of today's slides or deck, or any questions that I may not have covered, because it is a bit of a whirlwind tour in terms of kind of the LinkedIn and kind of how you utilize it in your career or in your business, then feel free to kind of ask any questions. If not, feel free to hop off the call, but I'll hang around for a good 5 minutes just in case everyone's got anything they want to ask. So I will just stop the recording.